Do you want to know more about building an in-scale model road? Why don't you stick around and watch this segment, see how we do it on my in-scale model road, the Sayreville secondary. Hello everyone, Joe from Central Jersey Conrail and in-scale. Welcome back to the conclusion playlist. Yes, this video is going to be part of our conclusion playlist. This is a playlist that I started a couple months ago, kind of just wrapping up the little projects to put the finishing touches in certain areas. And so this episode, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be heading back over to Sayreville because that was one of the big areas that I never really finished off with all the completing details and stuff. So we're going to get back in there and we're going to work on that. Also, there's the other little project that I worked on during this video, but I didn't get any video on it, was the movement of the exhaust port for the spray booth. You can see I did an update video. Just check back on the channel. You can watch that, and I talk all about it in depth. The other thing I did do, and finally, is that little section of the valance that's white and it always gets stuck in the shots and kind of sticks out. I painted that blue to match the sky, so now when we do videos in there, it'll kind of be blending into the background. You won't notice it as much. Once I was done over there in Sayreville, I headed over to Brown's Yard, the area of the engine terminal, and did some more detail work in there. And detail work, when I'm talking about detail work, I'm vehicles, people, little details, junk, garbage, and all that. And so that's what we did over there in Brown's Yard, and that will be in this video. There's a couple little surprises that'll pop up in the video. This isn't going to be as in-depth of a video as my how-tos on the construction and the scenery. This is more I'm just going along and documenting what I did and showing everybody some of the techniques I did to wrap up the scenes. All right, so why don't we sit back, relax, watch the video. I'll show you how I did it. It's not going to be a super long video. Just kind of really just doing this to document all the stuff that I did do, and afterwards we'll come back and I'll talk to you about it. there you go. Yeah, the scene looks phenomenal now. So went in, been collecting various sets of in-scale people and figures and stuff, and also been collecting, you know, various detail parts and kind of putting them in a box organized, and just went through the scene and did what I had to do. One of the big kind of finishing points was the chain link fence around MUA. You know, looking in the videos, it kind of was just like, what is that scene? And I figured out by putting the fence in, it kind of defined the lines that, hey, that's a facility, there's something going on there, and they don't want you going in. Initially, when I was designing that scene, I was like, hey, it would be nice to have some operating gates. But when I was putting the fence together, I realized that the way the angle of the track curvature with the gates, I didn't have big enough gates, so I kind of just did a rough estimate to kind of make it plausible and believable. And I just opted not for the operating gates. I thought it'd be great for operations to have like either a lever or knob or even a motor that would open the gates, and just one more step for the operators when they're making deliveries. But the space underneath that area down there is very, very tight. There's not a lot of room to put a whole bunch of mechanisms to make the gates move. So I just opted them for in the open position. Lots of just various discarded garbage down through there. You know, just kind of, because the pictures that I'd seen of the Sayreville running track in its heyday towards the end, track conditions really weren't that great. They were kind of deteriorating. Also, that area was very industrialized. The photographs that I had seen just seemed like it was real run down, a lot of junk and stuff. So I just made sure to put all that in there to kind of just, you know, make the scene more like the prototype. So I talked about it in my video update a few weeks back. I'm just going to talk about it here because you saw it. Is a long time ago, Corey Gravino did a video segment on the Model Rotor video series, and he talked about airbrushing your ballast, and it gives the ballast a more realistic appearance. My problem with the ballast down in Sayreville is it just didn't really like the color. It looked a little too fresh, so I was figuring, hey, let's try Corey's technique and use the airbrush on the ballast, and turned out to be a complete disaster. Yeah, you got to be super sure that your ballast is all affixed in there, because when I hit it with the airbrush, and I was down to like 15 pounds, and it blew scenery material everywhere, just the stuff that wasn't totally, you know, affixed down with the scenery cement. So not really happy with the technique. Just made it more of a mess than it was worth. But I did get some color on the ballast, and it did change the appearance a little bit. I kind of like it. I think it was a little too brownish. Maybe would have liked a little more of a rusted color, but I think I'm going to go in there with some weathering powders over time and just, you know, fix it and tint it out. So that's my take on that whole technique. I have seen some other model rotors who have really produced phenomenal results with it, but again, my personal opinion is I don't think it's worth the cleanup involved afterwards. The big part for this area here for me was Bordentown Avenue. Getting that all wrapped up, putting in the striping, the signs, the vehicles, the line poles and the lines, and then the fusee circuit for the crossing. I think that really will help in the operations videos when you're watching it, that yeah, it makes a lot of sense now what's going on there. Then the last thing for Sayreville was the smoke effects. So I have been staring at that facility there. I know it's a refinery kit from Walters. I'm using that to represent the portion of the National Lead facility that was down there, and that would be for the sulfuric acid production. They had a large cooker that made sulfuric acid there on premise at National Lead. So what I had done is use that kit to kind of represent that, because I didn't really have any good pictures for the prototype to kind of model it. So I've been staring at the facility over the time that it's been done, and I'm like, it just is missing something. It doesn't seem realistic. I don't get it. And I was watching some videos on YouTube, and there's a lot of fine scale modelers who are doing, you know, airplanes and ship models and combat sequences, and using the polyfiber, which polyfiber is a stuffing that they craft people use for, you know, stuffed animals and pillows. And what these modelers are doing is they are teasing it and shaping it into formations to look like smoke, and then through airbrushing and lighting effects, you can make it really look like fire and smoke. So I like the effect, so I picked up some polyfiber foam batting off of Amazon. Not that expensive. Like, I think it was $12 for the whole bag. And then I got some aluminum wire that sculptors use to make their wire forms for, you know, clay sculptures, and I use that to support the structure, because the polyfiber foam filler really doesn't have a whole lot of structure. So if you're trying to make columns of smoke, you need to support that, and that's what I use the aluminum wire for. And then through using hot glue, I was able to you know, get it into the shape I want, and then tease it out a little bit to kind of pull wisps out. And then the steam effect for the condensing unit over there is amazing. Like, it looks unbelievably real. It comes out great in photography. So for the smoke effect, for the stack there, what I did is I then took the same structure and put it into the spray booth and hit it with some grimy black from Model Flex, and kind of just played around with it and then put it in place, and then it kind of just looked like a lump coming out of the stack. I was like, it didn't really look good, but then I was like, oh, and I teased it out, and then it just really popped. And yeah, it's a great effect to kind of give the scene some life, so people understand, oh, that's a facility that's making something, so something's going on there. And the great part about it is, with the tall stacks, what I did is I can just pull that out of there. So if I need to get it out of the way, or it doesn't come out and it's bothering me in photographs or whatever, I can actually pull it out. Unfortunately, the condenser unit, the only way I could figure out how to support it was to actually hot glue it to the condenser itself, so that's kind of permanently affixed. But yeah, great effect. I think hopefully from seeing my video, you picked up on how I did it, and it helped you, because I think you should really give it a shot. I know in the future videos there'll be more on how I do it. And then lastly, we headed over to the engine terminal. I put in some workers in there, or some welders, and lots of inside the engine house. I did lots of details of, you know, machinery, the guys doing work inside the facility, just to give it some life. So now when you look at it in pictures, it's like, okay, there's actually people there. So overall, I think the whole area is so much better. Like, because now you're walking around, you're like, oh, there's some people there. There's some things going on. There's just more. It's life going on. It's not just a blank scene, you know, with structures and stuff. So I did the best part I can think of when I was doing this details that I can pass on to you is kind of think of you being trackside taking a picture. So the trains, you know, the model trains move always. So kind of think of it in that perspective. Stop the train, take the picture, and that's the details that you're looking at. So the people are frozen in time, pretty much. I thought once you get over that, then it helps you develop your scenes as you go along. Okay, so I think that's going to put a wrap on this video. I hope you guys picked up some stuff. I hope you enjoyed watching it come together. Yeah, it looks so much better. The pictures, I think, really show that. So very happy and ready to move on to the next project. So next month you can expect to see the next video in the detail sequence, because I really just took like a 2 or 3 day event and just went through the whole area of the layout. So you'll get this video and then the follow on next month for the other areas, which is Jamesburg, Ciba-Geigy, and a little bit of Englishtown. So if you're seeing this video for the first time, you like what you're seeing, please subscribe to the channel, because we'd love to have you following along. And don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And otherwise, that's all I have for you. I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.